Hello and welcome everyone to the week ahead commodity report, where we of course will be reviewing the markets for the week ahead. Historically, the summer months, they have been considered one of the most lucrative periods of the year for commodity traders, and this year has been no exception. Rapidly surging inflation, rate hikes and recession risk, they have become three of the biggest and most predictable money-making opportunities of the current financial climate that we find ourselves in right now. Throughout this month's report, we routinely highlighted that commodity markets, they will move in very predictable trends, presenting savvy traders with a series of highly lucrative week-to-week opportunities to generate huge life-changing wealth. Once again, everything we identified with you has played out as we predicted. The great news is that this trend is here to stay and set to continue throughout the second half of 2022 as inflation, rate hikes and recession risk, they take front and center stage. One of the biggest market moving themes of the current financial climate that needs no introduction is rapidly surging global inflation. Over the last 12 months, inflation has rapidly spread to every corner of the economy, with the cost of unavoidable living expenses from food to fuel to housing to clothing to energy prices rising at double-digit annual rates for the first time in over 40 years, further deepening the cost of living crisis and heaping more pain on household budgets. A string of recent, much hotter than expected inflation readings that has pushed the Federal Reserve and its major central bank peers into one of the world's most aggressive monetary tightening cycles since 1981. Last week, hope of inflation cooling off in the near future was quickly eased after natural gas prices on both sides of the Atlantic blasted through all-time record highs. US natural gas prices, they skyrocketed above $9.65 to levels not seen in over 14 years, notching up a staggering gain of 525% from this time last year. Elsewhere in the energies complex, the real star performer was European natural gas. The European benchmark has been on an unstoppable run this month, soaring to a record high of €241, racking up a phenomenal gain of more than 700% within the last 12 months. Put another way, that's the equivalent of both benchmark future contracts trading at more than $400 a barrel for oil. Prices are currently 11 times higher than they were usually at this time of year, and we haven't even entered the winter months yet, when prices will inevitably surge much higher. As traders know, there's a strong correlation between inflation and energy prices. When energy prices accelerate at a red-hot pace, so does inflation. Even Fed Chairman Jerome Powell himself, he admits one of the biggest challenges faced by the Federal Reserve and its peers, which they really can't do anything about, is elevated oil and energy prices. And with inflation spiraling out of control and raising pressure on policymakers to accept that the global economy may need to undergo a recession to bring inflation down, all eyes next week, they will be on the Federal Reserve's annual Jackson Hole Economic Symposium. Traders expect policymakers will use that event as a platform to further enforce their hawkish stance and reiterate an appropriate need for supersized 75 basis point rate hike ahead, in a bid to rein in the highest level of inflation in over 40 years. However, there is huge potential that the Fed could surprise the markets by signaling that an even bigger and historic 100 basis point rate hike could now be on the table for their next policy meeting in September. Elsewhere this week, US second quarter GDP numbers and the Fed's preferred measure of inflation, the core PCE price data, that will be another focal point for traders, because those closely watched gauges of economic activity will play an influential role in the size of the Fed's next rate hike. Extraordinary times, they do create extraordinary opportunities. Right now, as traders, we're living in some of the most exciting and rewarding times ever. Banks, hedge funds, they're making multi-billions capitalizing on the week-to-week macro-driven opportunities, and it's not so different for the retail market. The majority of our clients at the Gold and Silver Club, utilizing our proprietary research-driven trading approach, they've already made in excess of 6 and 7 figures so far this year, and we still have another 4 months left to go. If you've been kicking yourself for missing out on some of the biggest trading events so far this year, and you still want to make 2022 your best year yet, then you still have time. So with that, let's move over to the charts and we'll talk you through exactly what we look at here as we head into next week. So first of all, the dollar index, as we discussed with you last week, we entered into a position on the dollar index after the release of the CPI data just over a week ago. In fact, on that trade just on Friday, we banked with our clients 285 points profit on the dollar index, where we got in just above the 105 levels. That's been a phenomenal move just in a matter of 1 week. In fact, it's the strongest week for the dollar in over 1 year. So we've been able to capitalize massively off the back of the dollar rally in the last week. And with that, as we discussed with you last week, we continued to scale out of more profits from our gold positions. We in fact banked over 2,000 points over 2 trades on the breakout that we got after the CPI data when gold prices, they broke above 1,800. Subsequently, we scaled out of more profits, another 500 points banked on gold last week. As we discussed previously in the commodity reports, we're not looking to buy gold at these levels just yet. I'm looking for lower prices to reaccumulate into gold, into silver and platinum as well. In fact, with that, silver prices, they dropped 8.6% last week. We discussed this with you as well. Expectation was that we could see the metals start to come under pressure at the end of August into September as we were anticipating a dollar breakout. However, we've positioned ourselves and rotated profits into copper and also crude oil as well. So copper prices, they gained in the last week. In fact, they're up over 3% this month. We continue to break out to 6-week highs. We have 4 positions on copper at the moment. Brent crude oil, lovely rally again over Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. So we banked another 400 points on this market. I would really look at this if we got any rotations back down towards 90 US dollars per barrel yet again over the next week as opportunities to again accumulate at lower prices, at the lower end of the range and at that key area of liquidity that was last tested back in February of 2022 before the Ukraine invasion from Russia. That's the last time we had Brent crude oil trading back at 90 US dollars per barrel. So for me, this is definitely a market to have on the radar going into next week. We scaled into a number of positions on this market last week. We just continued to bank into strength as we saw another breakout over 500-point move from the lows to the highs over Wednesday, Thursday and Friday as well. That's also been relevant to, of course, crude oil here as well, which had a strong breakout later on in the week as well. Managed to climb back above $90 per barrel after earlier on in the week, dipping back towards 86 US dollars per barrel. So again, I perceive dips as buy opportunities on the energies right now. And of course, last week, the real star was natural gas prices breaking out to 14-year highs. Absolute immense move for natural gas. We had natural gas prices in the UK and Europe. They've doubled over the last month. And in the USA, they have almost doubled as well. If we get a breakout back towards the 10 level, essentially, then natural gas prices have now doubled from July right the way through to the end of August, which has been a phenomenal move for this market. Then moving it back to some of the other metals like platinum, as we talked you through previously, we're expecting pressure to the downside between now and the end of the month, and moving into the month of September, we are expecting a rotation more into the dollar in the short term here. So I am looking just at lower prices to accumulate back into the metals here once we've done with this sell-off on silver, on gold and platinum. As I mentioned to you many times before, we've been very early to these moves, getting into our positions on gold down at 1,700, and we've scaled out as we've broken out to 1,800, banking over 2,000 points profit, another 500 points banked last week. Very simply, we've banked a windful amount of profits on the metals over the last week, and now we're looking for lower prices in order to reload and accumulate at the lows of this cycle. As you know, we're seeing one of the greatest wealth transfers ever in history in this new era of economic change, with rapidly surging inflation, the cost of living rising, energy, gas and food bills all soaring. It's once again an important reminder that you can't just rely on one income stream. If your goal is financial freedom, then you need to start building multiple streams of income. The importance of having an essential income generating skill like trading, it's no longer a luxury, it's now a must-have necessity. In the words of Warren Buffett, the best investment you can make is in yourself. You can never lose money when you invest in yourself and when you invest in new skills. If you want to upgrade your income, then you need to upgrade your skills, and there's no better skill than trading. If you want to maximize your money-making potential and thrive, not just survive in these highly macro-driven markets, then you need to adapt your strategy so that you can grow your income to massive levels. If you want to gain the ultimate edge to supercharge your wealth in these highly profitable markets, then you need to trade like the hedge funds, the money managers, the institutions, utilizing a professional, research-driven approach. Having access to the right data at the right time, it is the single greatest difference between ordinary and extraordinary results. The greater your data and intelligence, the greater your edge in navigating these fast-moving markets with precision, accuracy, and the highest levels of profitability. Trading like every other misguided retail trader out there, using outdated technical analysis and gimmicky technical indicators, that will not work. We're no longer in the 1980s, we're in 2022, the age of data. Every industry right now, including the trading and investing landscape, is being disrupted by data. In this day and age, if all you're doing is relying on outdated technical analysis and gimmicky technical indicators, then you're guaranteed to get crushed and chopped up in these markets when every other well-informed and well-educated trader out there is creating life-changing wealth. If you want to change your results, then you have to change your thinking. Never underestimate what you can achieve in the next few months from now with the right skills, knowledge, and mentorship. Time is the most valuable commodity that we have. Make sure that you don't waste it. If you want to join our community of successful traders and take your trading to the next level, then there is an opportunity for you to do so. As a member, you get access to our exclusive live trading room webinars. You get access to real-time trade ideas, access to institutional research and market intelligence, access to our private Members Academy website, and also support and one-to-one mentoring. For more information, just go to www.jointhelivetradingroom.com. The link is also below this report in the description. So just click on the link, make an application, and we will, of course, get in touch with you ASAP.